Hello guys, and today I'm going to try some chocolate Diwali cupcakes. Now, on the 21st of October in Britain, and on the 20th of October in some other countries, I believe India. I'm not an expert on this, right? Um, the Hindus celebrate the Festival of Lights, which is Diwali. I mean, if I've got that wrong, I apologise. I'm not a religious expert. I'm not an expert on the Hindu religion, but I know that every year they celebrate Diwali, which I believe is something to do with what they call the Festival of Lights. Okay. Now, I ought to remember more of this than I do, because when I was a child, there used to be, every year at school, there used to be a Diwali play at school. Amazing, considering I'm white and British, and this was at a school in England. But yes, there was a lot of Hindus there and a lot of ethnic minorities at my school, and so they used to have a Diwali play every year. Okay, to my knowledge. I mean, maybe some years we didn't. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but I definitely remember there was at least one or two Diwali plays, I believe. Right? I definitely know there was at least one. Okay, but I'm sure there were more than that. Now, there are only two varieties of cupcakes in here. There's one with a yellow top and one with what looks like a mauve top. Okay, and what's strange about this is meant to be celebrating Diwali, but in fact the best before date is the 30th of September. And that is before the 20th or the 21st of October, which is, as I said, in Britain. Diwali's on the 21st, but if somebody took these abroad somehow and were allowed to do so, then they could celebrate it on the 20th in another country. Anyway, I've no idea what these are. They cost an arm and a leg. For once I thought I'd try them, because curiosity got the better of me. I think it's about £3 or £3.50 for a pack. I'll look a bit later. I will give you the details on the Tesco website later. But for now, this is mostly just about me eating them. So I'm going to... We've got this thing which sort of sticks. Now I'm going to try and pull off the... Oh no, you can't. So... pull this off. So now... you have access to the cupcakes. To me, these look a bit like muffins. They look a bit like a chocolate muffin to me. I don't know what exactly they are, but they look to me just like some sort of chocolate muffin, but with something like extra on the top. And I've never tried these before. It's got a nice, on the mauve ones, it's got a nice pretty pattern on the icing, so you can eat this. It's got a nice pretty pattern on the icing, which is probably why you pay more, and it's looked like a flame. So it looks like a flame of a light to celebrate the Festival of Lights. It's almost a waste to even eat this, just because it looks so pretty. And as I said, there's three of them. This one's a bit more lopsided. It obviously didn't put the top on quite properly. This one, they didn't put the top on properly either for some reason, and you couldn't tell that, but this one looks like it's done properly. And you couldn't tell that because, very easily, because this red sticker got in the way, so you couldn't easily tell. But it doesn't matter. I'll eat one where I didn't do it quite so properly, so it doesn't matter anyway. It's only a matter of pushing it along to the right a bit. Now I've pushed it along, it sort of destroyed the look of it, but it doesn't matter. As I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is like a muffin with something on the top. So I'm just going to try the chocolate part of it, the bottom part. Oh, tastes like a chocolate muffin. But looks like it tastes like there's something extra in it, and I don't know what they've done, but maybe it's because I've got a bit of the bottom, so if I just... No, it tastes pretty much like a chocolate muffin. Then there's this strange icing sugar on the top, so I'll try that. No, it tastes like icing sugar, so... I haven't had the pattern bit yet. So, I'm going to take it off. Pattern on its own, I'm going to try some of that on its own. I think it's like just icing sugar, but very thick, and because other stuff is a lot more soft and, you know, looks more sticky and will move easier, whereas this bit is a lot more solid. I'm not sure, it's a strange combination because I've had things like a Swiss roll which have icing on the top, and that's quite normal for you know, chocolate logs around Christmas time over here. And that's often me a Swiss roll with chocolate on the top and then icing on the top, but icing on the top of what I would call a muffin, but what they call a cupcake, is to me quite unusual, but maybe, you know, lots of people have cupcakes with icing on, I haven't got a clue. So that's what I would call the mauve one. I'm calling it a mauve one because, as I said, this is one I haven't eaten yet. But I've just had another one, but obviously not this one. It looks exactly the same, pretty much. Apart from it's not as wasn't as, you know. And this is what I call the purple one because it's mauve. It's got a mauve colour, okay? Mauve icing. And the only other one they do is ones with yellow icing with these strange brown things on the top. I don't know what they are. And this seems to have more than the others of the little circles. On the others, I don't tend to have as much. And it works out, I think, just over 50p a cupcake. So I'll be eating £1 worth of food in a minute. As I said, by the way, I'm not a Hindu. I do not celebrate Diwali personally. I'm a white person, and there are very few white Hindus, probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't know every country. I know it's mostly, I think, India's the country most famous for, you know, Hindu. I think Hindu is, I think, the main religion in India. So anyway, I'm going to eat one of these now. So I'm not sure what these little bits are. I'll try and also see what words they say to describe it. They've said 3 chocolate sponge cupcakes topped with yellow coloured vanilla frosting and a seasonal decoration. That's really weird. Why would they say free chocolate sponge cupcakes coloured with a yellow vanilla frosting? Oh, and below, yes, it says free chocolate sponge cupcakes topped with pink coloured vanilla frosting and the seasonal decoration. So I showed you that with the seasonal decoration. And this one just says yellow coloured vanilla frosting. So what they've admitted basically is they're pretty similar, but they just have different colours. So what they're basically saying is, apart from looking slightly different, the actual icing is the same flavour. It's just they've coloured it differently. Okay, so it should taste the same, apart from these little teeny dots, and I don't know what they are. Um, no, they taste the same, but I don't know what these little tiny bits do. But yeah, so I mean, I think cupcake, but normal ones are cheaper. If I'm being totally honest here, it depends how much you like icing. I think the icing can start to make it taste a bit more sickly, to be honest. And I'm used to having muffins. I've had muffins in the past. I've had them without any icing, so maybe it's because I've had two of them, and maybe the effect is just you only meant to have one, maybe, and maybe two is just too much icing. I know that when you have too much icing to eat, it can taste a bit sickly. Uh, to be honest with you, right? You either like icing or you don't. It's great, but if you have too much of it, you might start to feel a bit ill. I don't mean really like calling the hospital or something, but you just maybe have had more than you should. I don't know. Or maybe it's just I haven't been having a lot of sweet stuff lately, so I don't know. So, yep. Would I get them again? Probably at this price, truthfully, no. But don't get me wrong, the icing sugar is good. For me, makes it a little bit sickly, I think. If you have a problem I have with icing sugar, if you have too much of it, you start to feel a bit ill. And it can be a bit sickly if you have too much of it. So, probably one cupcake a day or once a time, but to be fair at this price, most people probably wouldn't have had two cupcakes anyway. Just to put it into perspective, you could have like a complete, almost 1 kilogram bag of frozen carrots or something like that, for the price of just two of these cupcakes. But as I said, I do appreciate the effort they put into making them look pretty with the strange dots on it, But I just feel it's strange that they've actually, but as I said, they've released this before the actual event itself, so that it would have expired before you could have celebrated it properly. But I'm not surprised that they did this because they often do this at Christmas for Christmas food as well, where often now you can buy Christmas food that expires before Christmas even happens, and that's so that the factory can do dry runs of it. So if there's any problems, they don't have a problem. They don't, if they're going to come across problems, they'll come across them before it matters. And obviously they have to do dry run to it and things until they sell them in the shops earlier than you would normally have them, so that they can test out their equipment basically and set it up already. Okay, so that when it is around Christmas time, in this case Diwali, and I'm sure you'll be able to buy this when it's Diwali as well, then the machines will be working, so you'll be able to buy it if there's any problems. Okay. So anyway, guys, that's as I said, there's only 2 varieties in the whole box. You get it's a box of 6, but there's only 2 varieties. So I've had one of each. So that is Tesco chocolate Diwali cupcakes. Okay. And I do try to show you ethnic things or things which are just unusual, which you might not get anywhere else, okay? Or perhaps not so obvious, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye.